Oops. All video game music. I'm Cody. I'll be your host tonight. Gonna listen to some random, mostly pretty old video game songs. All of them are old. Some of them are a lot older than others. Some of them are not that old. You know, the usual. The theme tonight, Gem. That, of course, was Earthworm Jim, For Pete's Sake. That's also the screenshot you're looking at there. You can see a puppy splattering into the ground there. Looks like he's got yellow blood or something, possibly. So, let's get into the next song. What do you say? This is from a game for Super Nintendo, I believe. It's called Jim Lee's Wild Cats. Wild CATS, Covert Action Teams, with the song Anti-Gravity Machine Part 1, followed by Operation Wolf for Commodore 64, Briefing song, and then we heard Nightmare Circus, Funhouse Boss, and what you just heard was a request from Theodine Peregrine, and it's from the Addams Family, Pugsley's Scavenger Hunt, Icebox. Thanks for that request, and if you have a request, comment or put it in the chat, or put it on Discord. We appreciate requests, and thanks for listening, of course. Coming up next, here's a song called... Now this is an interesting title for a song. It's called Level 2, and it's from a game called Cyborg Justice.
Super Sloppy Double Dare! And here's your Super Sloppy Double Dare guest host, Jim J. Bullock!
Hello, and welcome to a special Super Sloppy Double Dare. I'm Jim J. Bullock, I'm your host, but we'll get back to that later. First, let's meet our blue team. Here we have Harvey, who works 20-hour days and grows hair for hobby. Harvey, what else can you tell us about yourself?
No, hardly anything. Thank you. I react really badly to sudden cold temperatures. I know that.
You're going to be fantastic
Whoa.
on this, Harvey. Teresa, what can you tell us about yourself? You like turtles, don't you?
Well, I used to have a turtle farm when I was little.
Well, what happened to it?
Well, we only had them for like some.
We'll
And
talk
then we-
about that later. And over to our blue team. Here we have, of course.
red, Jim. We're
I'm
red.
sorry, red, blue, red. I'm so confused. On the red team, we have Mark Summers, who is the reincarnated Elvis.
Thank you.
And Baker of Bread. What does it feel like to be a contestant on your own show, Mark?
This is really strange. Now, you hosted Hollywood Squares, right?
Yes, I did for 2 weeks.
Now, what did that feel like
I
for
had a
you?
nervous breakdown, but I'm back now. I'm okay.
That's how I
Really.
feel right
I'm
now.
okay.
But
And
Gary and I
Gary?
are going to beat the pants out of Harvey and that other person over there.
Oh, well, we'll see about that.
Here recently we heard Spanky's Quest with the song Ruins. And then we heard Pictionary, Minigame 2. And what you just heard was from Jasaikin Necromancer, and the song was Town. And that sounded like a TurboGrafx 16 game. Had to have been. All those systems have a specific sound, usually. But when a song sounds like, or when it doesn't have a sound that's easily applied to a system, then that's a gold star for that composer, you know? If it's a Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo, but it doesn't sound like that, that's always impressive, you know? Not that it's bad to sound like either of those, but it's just a standout situation, you know? Well, coming up next, what do we got? Now, I believe this is a song from a system that we might not have played yet, if it's the song I'm thinking of. I believe it's from Tandy Computer, Tandy 1000 or 100 or some shit like that. This is a song from Zeliard, and it's Beyond the Caves. That was from a game called Akatsuki no Goai Trinity, and I'm going to call that track 39. That was officially the newest song that you're going to hear tonight. It's only 12 years old, I believe. It's from PlayStation 3, I think. I don't know anything about the game, if it was available in America or not. Probably not. Before I play the next song, I wanted to tell you just a quick story that I associate with this game that we're going to play the song from. It was the early 90s, and I went on a small road trip with my dad. It was a swap meet for car parts. Classic or vintage car parts. And the idea was that, you know, we were both going to go to this thing. It was in Louisville, Texas, which is one of the many outskirt towns adjacent to Dallas. And I was always up for any road trip or random thing that, I don't know, I would just go with my dad to stuff because, well, there was no internet, and that's what you did back then. You were bored, and going somewhere was a lot more exciting than sitting at home. Especially if you didn't have much of a collection of video games, because your dad, well, really, you know, your parents wouldn't buy them for you. They would only let you rent them, and usually that was with your own allowance. In my case, my allowance was saving the change for my lunch money, which I've talked about on this show, so we're not going to go into that right now. Anyway, we went to Louisville, Texas. Got a hotel room at Mo Celtics or some kind of place like that, you know. Definitely a motel. It was decent from what I recall. Not too many, not any blood or semen stains on anything that I recall. At least not when we got there. Anyway, so then the night before the big swap meet, I stayed up, and I had the phone book in the hotel room, and they had one of those numbers that you call. We had one in Oklahoma City, where you would call and press buttons and listen to recordings and stuff, and they had a trivia thing on it, which was fun. So they had a similar one for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I spent all night, I stayed up all night farting around on this thing, and or, you know, prank calling people, or, you know, my dad was asleep in the other bed in this hotel room, and I just farted around on the phone, and, you know, it was quite enjoyable. And then the morning came, and I did not want to get up, so I just told my dad, like, I just want to sleep. So he went to the swap meet without me. And then at some point, I might have been half awake, probably, but I got up, and, you know, the safety lock thing on a hotel room door, I locked that, and then I went back to sleep, and I woke up hours later, and he was just banging on the door and the window. And I still feel bad about that, but you know, obviously he was pissed off because I had locked him out. And I remember halfway waking up and he's like, take off the safety latch or whatever, you know, unlock the door. And while we were in town in Louisville, Texas, I don't know exactly why, but we went to Walmart, and at the time I was looking to, I don't know, he felt bad that I went with him and was bored, maybe, I don't know. In hindsight, it was my choice to go with him, but it was a rare situation where he offered to buy me a video game, and we went to Walmart, and this game was pretty new at the time. I had rented it and beaten it, but I did want to own it, of course, and a lot of other people owned it. It was Mega Man X, and here's a song from it. And anytime I think about that game, I think about that trip to Louisville. It's Chill Penguin.
Hi, is Jim around?
Who's calling, please?
This is his friend Saul.
Pardon me?
Saul.
What was your name, please?
Saul Rosenberg.
Well, he's not here right now. May I take your message?
Yeah, I'm calling. He told me I could join the little nudist camp over there.
Pardon me?
The nudist camp. I want to join the nudist camp for the beaches.
You do?
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry.
Why? What's the problem?
Who are you calling? Jim?
Yes, that's right.
Well, is he the one that told you that there's a nudist camp?
Yes, he told me I could join the nudist camp. Because in New York, I was in a nudist camp up there, and they always would abuse me and throw me down and rub sand on my assy nipples, and they used to hurt me bad and tie me to the pier and let, like, the fishes eat at me and whatnot.
Well, what is your name?
Saul Rosenberg.
Star?
Saul. I was calling because I don't want to be tied up to motorboats anymore and dragged around like a fool. I want to join with Jim and walk up and down the beach and step on piss clams.
Well, I don't get it.
Well, he said that he would rub small little sand baskets all over my ass if I wanted to walk up and down the beach with him. We could do that for each other.
Oh. What is your number? Can I call you back?
He said that he would be there to receive this call because we could go flying parasails and diving up and down.
Well, I'm his mother, and I'm surprised at that.
He told me that I would jump all over the place and do backflips in the sand.
Yeah?
Because down here, he said...
That?
Pardon? He said nobody would beat me up down here.
Oh, is that so?
Because up in New York, what happened was they used to tie me down on the beach and rub sand all over my ass neck and beat me with, like, all little sharp things that they found on the beach, and they would try to drown me and tie me to the piers for high tide. And I was very hurt with that.
I'm his mother, and I think it's an insulting deal. And if I'll talk to him when he gets home. Just don't you worry about that.
We heard music from Jim Power, The Lost Dimension in 3D. That was for Super Nintendo. Composed by Chris Hulsbeck. Originally, I think that song was on Amiga, and he ported that over to Super Nintendo and sampled a lot of the sounds, I think. I was talking in the chat with Angry Music Men about this, but a lot of these composers that would do ports of Amiga games over to Super Nintendo would actually sample the sounds, and it was a good combination, in my opinion. Some of my favorite Super Nintendo music is that, in that situation. So, Jim Power, The Lost Dimension in 3D title theme is what that was. At least the first song you heard in this block, after I told you what the one song was. After that was Iron Sword, Stage 1, Mountains, by Mr. David Wise. Another European. Have y'all seen that? Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo. I like that male gigolo movie. He's a male prostitute. It's a little bit redundant. After that, we had Nectarus. And the song was Player's Last Stage. That was a pretty good one. I liked that a lot. And coming up next, here for the comments is in the chat. Good to see you. Got Angry Music Man and BB as well. Coming up next, a game for TurboGrafx or NEC. One of those 8-bit / 16-bit systems. Most of the TurboGrafx stuff, it's 8-bit, but they have extra channels, so it's kind of similar to the Konami, the very few Konami Nintendo games that had the extra sound channels. Also similar to Namco, what they would do with arcades with the 8-bit. They would just have a bunch of channels, and it sounded pretty goddamn good. With more on that, stay tuned for next week's episode. But for now, let's hear some NEC music, some TurboGrafx, Fighting Run. And the title of this track is, you guessed it, Fighting Run.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Well, thank you, Barry Leach. That was Utopia, the Creation of a Nation, in-game music number 2 for Amiga. That song is also on Super Nintendo, Utopia. I rented that game when it was fairly new, I think. And I was very critical of everything about the game, including the music. But I grew to appreciate it quite a bit. On the Super Nintendo version, which is not what you just heard, it's similar, but along the same lines. It's that at the time when I rented that game from Blockbuster Video, I talked about with Patrick, my brother, that it sounded like an Atari. Because if you hear that song on Super Nintendo, it's Anyway, thanks for listening, folks. I think it's been a fun episode. My goal is for it to be a fun episode every time we do it. So far, so good, right? Thanks for being here with me. Here for the comments. Angry Music Man, BRB. Anybody else? Barry Leach. Thanks for being here. Chris Hulsbeck. Thanks for being here. Timothy Fallen. Thanks for being here. And of course, the Japanese composers whose names I might not be pronouncing correctly, but thank you. Gonna leave you with the song from Earthworm Jim. We'll see you next time. Good night.